Hi, my name is Brady, and this is going to be a quick walkthrough of the exploitation of ADCS ESC15, also known as EKUwu, which is funny to say in your head, but is even funnier to say out loud with your real life mouth. So this is a piece of research that was just published last week by Mr. Justin Bollinger, sorry about that. But this blog post here on TrustedSec details a vulnerability in Microsoft's Active Directory certificate services, which has recently been classified as CVE-2024-49019. However, if you search Google for that, you can see it's kind of a ghost town out here. You can see Justin's Twitter page, but really not that much more. And also, if you check it out on YouTube, you can see there's really not a lot related here. And even if you use the nickname here, you kind of get nothing. So that's kind of what prompted me to make this video. Probably somebody better can do it. I'm still kind of learning it, but hey, if there's a demand for it, I'll go ahead and put it out. So the actual substance for this vulnerability is that Active Directory certificate services will prefer an application policy over an EKU extension. So we're able to basically override the EKU extension by supplying an application policy. You can see that on this Microsoft Learn article from back in 2010. But basically what we end up with is a situation kind of similar to ESC2, where we have any purpose EKUs, but instead of using EKUs, we're going to be using the application policy. So jumping into the actual exploitation portion of this demonstration, we could jump into my lab here. So this is my ADCS lab. We're only going to be using the primary domain controller and the primary certificate authority. So those are going to be 225 and 235 respectively, if you're following along. You can basically just ignore the rest of this stuff. The first thing we're going to do is actually cheat a little bit. So we're going to jump onto the certificate authority, and we're running as the domain admin right now. And that's because the template is not actually vulnerable by default. We're going to have to make it vulnerable for the purposes of this demonstration. So we're going to hop into the MMC, and we will add the certificate templates snap-in. And if we jump into here, we can see all of our certificate templates. So a key thing to pay attention to here is the schema version. This only works on schema version 1 templates. And we're going to be using the web server template just because that's the one that was detailed here in Justin's research. So if we go into properties and we go into the security settings, you can see this is a default template. Authenticated users can read, and then domain admins and enterprise admins have read, write, and enroll. We're going to simulate, maybe we have access to like a server admin or a web admin or something like that. So we're going to give ourselves more permissions than we would have as an authenticated user. But just for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to be using the authenticated users group. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and give us enroll rights here, and then we'll apply. And then we can jump back over into our terminal. So what we need to know here is that there is a GitHub fork put out by Druid, and let me hover this for just a second. But basically what we're able to do here, if we jump down to ESC15, this is a fork of Certipy where we're going to be able to enumerate ESC15 templates. We can supply the application policies using the application policies parameter. And then also you can specify the application directly using the OID. We're not going to be doing this just because I like to use the name instead of the OID. But if you did have a specific situation where you needed to use a specific one, you could do that as well. But getting back to the terminal, we're going to need to grab this fork. So I'm going to do this in a Python virtual environment just because I'm a little, I guess you could say paranoid about dependencies. But I'm just going to call this ESC15. Oops, that's 14. There we go, 15. And then we'll go ahead and activate this. So hidden ESC15, bin activate. And now we've got our Python 3 virtual environment here. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste in my git clone command. Something to pay attention to here is you do want to make sure that you have the ESC15 EKUwu branch. The main branch of this fork does not actually support ESC15, so just something to pay attention to. We'll clone that in. We'll move into the Certipy. And you can see here, we've got our setup.py and everything like that. So we can do a pip3 install to the local directory, and this will go ahead and install here. Okay, so that's finished installing here. We can confirm that we have our new Certipy command by running which Certipy. We can go ahead and start using our new Certipy commands. I'm just going to go ahead and template this out so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to use the Certipy find command. Our username here is going to be domain user. Our password is just going to be password. We don't care about security in this lab. Our DCIP in this case is going to be 10.3.10.225. And then we're going to use the vulnerable flag to only show the vulnerable templates. And we're just going to print everything to the standard out. So we'll go ahead and run this here. And it's going to show us that the web server template is vulnerable to ESC15. And you can see that it shows that authenticated users can enroll. Enrollee supplies subject, and the schema version is 1. So it actually shows in this fork, schema version being 1. You can see enrollee supplies subject here in the certificate name flag. And then down here under enrollment rights, because we gave our authenticated users enrollment rights, we see that we can enroll here. All right, so at this point, we can basically split into two different paths. The one that I think is simpler is using the certificate request agent, which is very similar to ESC3. We're just going to be using the application policies instead of the actual CRA EKU. So here in the certify request form, we're going to change this to domain user. Oops, didn't type it all the way out. Our domain is going to be fakecorp.lab. Our password again, we can just grab this. It's going to be password. DCIP here will be the same. Our CA, you can grab the CA name, which is going to be this fake corp CA. And then our template name is going to be the web server template. So you can copy and paste that one as well. Our target, we are going to supply the CAIP just because the CA is not running on the domain controller. So in this case, it's going to be 10.3.10.235. And then for our application policies, we're going to leave this certificate request agent. So basically what this is going to do is allow us to take a certificate and it's going to be assigned to the domain user, so the user that we have control of. And this certificate is going to allow us to request certificates on behalf of another principal. We'll go ahead and grab our template here. Actually, I'm going to change back out of the certified directory back to home, and we'll run that here. So you can see we got a certificate as the domain user, domainuser.pfx. And we can go ahead and use this to generate our new certificate where we're going to impersonate the domain admin. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and grab this template one more time. We're going to have a new template here. So this one, same thing. This is going to be domain user at fakecorp.lab. This is going to be password. DCIP is going to be the same. CA is also going to be the same. So our template here is actually going to be different. It's going to be the user template. We're just looking for a user authentication template. You could search for one if you needed to, but this one is default, so I find that it works pretty well. And then we're going to do on behalf of, so the domain short name is just going to be fakecorp. And then the victim user in our lab is called domain admin. The PFX from the last step is this domain user.pfx. Suppose I could just type that out, but it's way easier just to copy and paste. And then our target is going to be the CAIP one more time. So we'll go ahead and copy that in. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run that command here. And you can see that we actually got a certificate on behalf of the domain admin here. So we can template one more time, another certify command. This one is going to be the auth command, so we're going to authenticate using that certificate. It's going to be the PFX from the last step, which is the domain admin one. And then the username is just going to be domain admin. The domain here is going to be fakecorp. I already have this typed out, but whatever. Fakecorp.lab. And then the DCIP one more time is 10.3.10.225. So now we should be able to authenticate using this certificate as the domain administrator. And we did. So we got our TGT. We got our hashes here. We could use these to authenticate if we wanted to. Or we could just use this TGT. So we could do like a KRB5 CC name equals, and then we'll use the domain admin Ccache. And then we could do like a impacket WMI exec. Oops, typing is hard. With Kerberos and no password. And then we can just say, we'll do ADCS DC01. We'll just authenticate to the domain controller. And you can see we get our shell. Who am I? We are the fakecorp domain admin now. So we'll go ahead and exit out of this for the other method. And let's go ahead and clean up our certificates and everything. So we'll remove domain everything, I guess. Okay, there we go. So the other method is kind of more similar to ESC1. However, there is a little bit of a twist that we're going to have to navigate here. And that's why I think it's a little bit more complicated. I prefer to use the like pseudo ESC3 method, but you can also use the ESC1 method. So we're going to assume that we've already ran our certify find command. We've already detected that our template is vulnerable. So we'll go ahead and skip those steps just for the second half of this demo. This is going to be our new command here. We're going to be requesting, again, using the domain user and the password of password. DCIP is still going to be 225. DA name is still going to be, oops, can't get that with a triple click. It's going to be fakecorp.lab. Oops, no, I'm in the wrong thing. The CA name is the fakecorp CA. The template is also going to be web server. And then this is where we have to define a user principal name. So this is going to be our domain admin that we're trying to take over. So do I have that somewhere? I'll just type it out, whatever. We'll do domain admin, and then our domain fully qualified domain name is the fakecorp.lab. So we'll put that in here. Target CA, we want that again. So where have I used that already? Hard to like record and think at the same time. I've definitely used target. There we go. Sorry about that. So our target is just going to be the 235 IP address again. And this time, instead of using the certificate request agent, we're going to be using the client authentication application policy. So you can think of this as the client authentication EKU that we use in ESC1. We'll go ahead and request that one. And sweet, we already got our domain admin.pfx. But this is kind of where the wrinkle comes in. So if we try to grab our command from previous where we use Certipy auth, and this happens to be the same name, so we can just reuse this, we're going to get a big angry message here that says, hey, you can't use this for PK init. So this is why this method is just a little bit more complicated. We have to actually, instead of using PK init, we have to use schannel for authentication. So we can do the LDAP shell method. So I'll go ahead and copy one more template in here. And we can do Certipy auth, and this is going to be the domain admin.pfx. And then instead of authenticating, we're going to do an LDAP shell, and then we'll do 10.3.10 at 225. It's going to be our DC IP. So we'll go ahead and run that command here. And you can see we get our LDAP shell here. So we could do like add user ESC15 user, and it's going to create a username and password for us. Then we could do add, oops, need my underscore there, user to group, ESC15 user, and we will add it to domain admins. And you can see we got our result okay here. So if we open up a new tab, actually I'm gonna have to grab that password. So give me just a second here. Okay, we can use like NXC, SMB, and then we'll just log in. Oh, yep, love that. That's definitely what I meant to do. So we do NXC SMB 10.3.10.225. We're just gonna log into the domain controller. The username is gonna be ESC15 user. Password is going to be that big nasty thing that we just copied. And we can actually just do that and see if it authenticates for us. And you can see it does log in, and we've got our fun little, hey, you're an admin thing here. So that's kind of the alternate method. If you had like a situation where you couldn't do the ESC3 method, you could probably do this. There are some potential OPSEC concerns with adding users to domain admins, but that's not really pertinent for the purposes of this demonstration. I kind of just wanted to show like what the two ways I found were. So again, yeah, credit to Justin Bollinger. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I said it both ways, so maybe I said it one of the ways was right. But in any case, yeah, this is a great research that just came out. This is cutting edge stuff. And if you do have any like well actuallys, feel free to drop a comment because I'm still working on this myself. So yeah, I wouldn't mind learning if anybody has things that I can learn from. But all right, that's all I've got here. So until next time, I will see you later.